I was diagnosed with late-stage cancer and tried to ask my super-rich parents for $100 to buy a burial outfit, but they yelled at me for 3 hours. Do you know how long $100 could last a child in the mountains? How did I raise such a wasteful kid like you? No way you've got cancer with the pampered life you've lived. If you're serious, why don't you just die and show me? I sat hopelessly outside the hospital, feeling the 2 coins left in my pocket, just enough for a bus ride home. I haven't had a full meal in days, while my biological parents splurged on renting out Disneyland for my adopted sister, Nancy. They've pushed me into a remote basement, claiming girls need to be raised poor. I hugged my only doll tightly in this basement, not wanting to go back to that house ever again. Just as I was about to drift into sleep, my dad called. My hand shook as I picked up, only to hear his angry voice. Where did all that money in your account come from? Did you steal from us again? I've transferred all your money to Nancy. She's not a waste like you. But that $20,000 that just hit the account was from a side job I did last month. I clenched my fists, the bitterness making it hard to speak. I thought they might save me. I was deluding myself. I opened my mouth but couldn't say anything. Dad thought I was guilty and cursed a bit more before hanging up. My body hurt a lot. The pain seeped from my bones, making me retch next to the bed. I glanced at the $30 left in my bank account and pulled myself up to get some painkillers. The moment I walked into the hospital, I saw Nancy coming toward me. She had a fever patch on her forehead, followed by my parents and a gang of doctors, all filled with concern. Sis, why are you in the hospital? You haven't been to school, and I heard you're living with your boyfriend? She glanced suspiciously at my stomach. I wore extra clothes because of the cold from being sick, making me look bulkier. Nancy covered her mouth as if shocked. Are you pregnant, sis? How could your boyfriend let you come here alone? Hearing that, my parents couldn't stay still. So you wanted money to get a secret abortion? Disgraceful kid. And you made up a cancer story to fool us, spending so much to curse yourself. If they cared to ask about my life, they'd know I dropped out long ago. There's no messing around with anyone else. Dad yanked my ear hard, ready to lecture me in front of everyone. Dizzy and unstable, I almost fell. I wanted to show them the diagnosis in my hand, to stop believing Nancy's lies. But they didn't look, they stepped on it instead. Who knows whose bastard child you're carrying? Get it away from me before I puke. That's not true. I'm not pregnant. I never lied. Please trust me. They ignored me, holding Nancy's hand as they left. I spent all my money on painkillers, popping several in my mouth. Why does my heart still hurt and feel so cold? Dragging my sick body out of the hospital, I looked up at the gray-blue sky, unsure of where to go. Then I saw Nancy's extravagant birthday party on the big screen at the mall across the street. She stood in front of a massive 6-foot cake, eyes closed, wearing a glittering designer dress and making a wish. My wish is for Mom and Dad to always be with me, and for all sick kids to get better soon. Applause erupted below, and presents piled from the door to the street. My dad boasted, for my daughter, I'm donating $10 million to sick kids. The applause grew louder, everyone cheering for my father and sister. The 3 of them stood there, so happy. I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. The audience surrounded the mall, packed solid. When the donation hits, I'll definitely take my kid to thank Nancy. Without her, my child wouldn't be here. Absolutely, my family will forever be grateful to Miss Nancy. That's when the doctor who prescribed my meds ran out. Little girl, the hospital just got a cancer treatment donation from the richest family. It's for free. Do you want me to put your name down? Looking into their compassionate eyes, my mom's scolding echoed in my mind. Even a stranger offered me help, yet my own mother wished I'd die. If you don't say anything, I'll take it as a yes. No matter what, we can't give up on life. Then my phone rang. Dad wanted me to apologize to Nancy and join her birthday, letting bygones be bygones. Fine, maybe it's the last time I see them. When I got there, they sneered, looking me over. Did you dress like a beggar to mess with your sister? Finally, they tossed a waiter's outfit at me to change into. I was already cold, piling on another layer didn't help, it was the coldness from within. I walked down to a room full of guests, feeling completely out of place. Compliments rang in my ears. Miss Nancy looks gorgeous, she's truly a rich princess. Of course, she's the only treasure of the richest family. They even named a star after her, I heard. The only daughter. I lowered my eyes, finding it all amusing.
Yeah.
This isn't where I belong. What was I hoping for? I turned to leave but was blocked by some rich girls. Are you slacking, server? We'll tell Miss Nancy to get you fired. How dare you glare at me? You'll regret it. They threw champagne in my face. I squinted as I stepped back, falling into the swimming pool. I can't swim. I struggled, flailing my arms. Laughter grew louder, taunting me. What a clown, go on, swim back up. Then Nancy's voice cut in, what's going on here? Nancy, the server was slacking, so we handled it for you. Nancy chuckled, holding her head high. Alright, let's head inside quickly. It's just a waiter. We'll let my parents deal with her after the event. The icy water filled my nose and mouth. I had no strength left to struggle, only letting my exhausted body sink to the bottom. Before I lost consciousness, I heard my dad's voice. Welcome everyone to my precious daughter's birthday party. Ever since I died, my spirit hasn't left the house. I watched my parents talking. It's been a while since we've seen Lily. It's her birthday next month, let's invite her back home. Our daughter is turning 18. That child is so ungrateful. She doesn't even answer our calls. Maybe she died out there. But Mom and Dad, I'm already dead, in a cold winter night. I'll never have that 18th birthday. I remember when we didn't have much money, my dad still got me the limited edition doll because I said I liked it. Back then, I dreamed of living like a doll, dressed beautifully, with lots of new clothes and a big house. Then my parents got rich, becoming the wealthiest in the country instantly. I had everything I wanted, the big house, the pretty clothes, and endless love. But once they decided to adopt Nancy, none of that was mine anymore. I became a child without a home. Another 3 months passed, and they thought I'd call. But no response ever came. They wanted to visit me at school, but Nancy always came up with excuses to keep them away. Why hasn't Lily contacted us yet? I checked, and there's no money in her account. What's she doing now? Maybe she's lying in some guy's room, being lazy. Don't say that about your sister, she's just upset, so she's not coming back. Don't worry, she'll return soon, Nancy said. Nancy, don't defend her. You've been sensible since you were little, unlike her, just a wasteful child. Today is my birthday. My parents bought a cake early, and my mom cooked waiting for me to come home. She patiently dialed my phone number again, but all she got was that it couldn't be reached. Dad ordered my gift in advance. That doll I loved back then. But on the day, he realized I still hadn't returned. He got so angry, went to school to find out from the teachers, only to be told I hadn't attended for a year. Even the teachers thought I was just an orphan. Until he got a list from the hospital of cancer patients who applied for aid. Seeing my name at the top, Dad panicked, running through several red lights rushing to the hospital. The doctor looked at him, puzzled. Who are you to Lily? That poor child had no money for treatment. She didn't even have shoes for winter. Dad's eyes filled with tears, grabbing the doctor's shoulders. Where is she now? Where's my daughter? She died a year ago. He screamed my name. Lily, come back, Mom won't be hard on you again. Lily, please come back. Until he passed out crying. Mom woke on the 5th day of her unconscious state. The nurse rushed over as she stirred, but she grabbed the nurse, not letting go. Please tell me where my daughter is, please? She even got down on her knees, in desperation mistaking the nurse for the one who cared for me. The nurse lifted her up, but she wouldn't get up, just kept calling my name. Dad came in, telling her he'd found out where I was, taking her to meet the last person to see me. It was Kate, the janitor at the school, who found me wrapped in a broken mat near the trash bin. At first, she thought it was just garbage, but realized it was a person. She reported it, but officials left after a glance. It pained her, so she paid for my cremation. The urn was still at her place. This girl was truly pitiful. I often saw her around school. Never thought our last encounter would be like this. Kate showed my parents the photos she took when she found me. After seeing them, they looked like they aged 2 decades, broken-hearted. My mom shook, covering her face. Dad sat down, crying so hard that he couldn't stand. They only accepted my death when they saw the photos. The person in them was indeed me. They pleaded to take my ashes back home. And they wanted to find the officer from the case to hold accountable, wondering why they weren't informed. In the interrogation room, the officer mentioned a girl named Nancy who identified the deceased as their nanny and covered it up as a suicide fearing theft charges. She said it would cause no trouble if her parents weren't told. It was you, Nancy. You knew about my death all this time but said nothing. Mom cried, the police urging her to remain calm. My parents requested the hospital footage to see exactly what happened. The screen showed me wearing a torn short sleeve in the cold, calling. Mom asked the police to zoom in to see whom it was for. It turned out I was calling her, asking if I could have $100. It's my fault for not believing you, Lily. It's my foolishness that cost your life. She sobbed herself into unconsciousness. Dad asked if footage from the school warehouse could be checked. It captured me, barely alive, shaking and stumbling back. I fell hard before the door, bleeding. And Dad was just a bit away on the road escorting Nancy to school with a smile. Had he paid more attention, maybe then he could have seen me. The footage from my death day showed Nancy opening my door, dragging my dead body to the trash bin. Dad couldn't hold back anymore, stood up, and struck Nancy till she was bloodied, as police hurried to stop him, but too late. Too late, everything's too late. The adopted daughter I cherished caused my real daughter's death with my hands. The video captured me being dragged away, clutching that doll, Nancy not even glancing at it, tossing it aside carelessly. Kate recognized my favorite doll and picked it up, placing it back. I don't know how long it took, but time seemed to stretch endlessly. Every second felt like an eternity, hard to bear. He whispered to himself, I killed my daughter. It's my fault she's gone. Nancy was detained for suspected murder. Later, it came out that she was having an affair with my dad. My mom just turned a blind eye. Turns out, my mom always knew something was off with how nice Dad was to Nancy, yet she sided with him. After that, my parents fell seriously ill. During their time in the hospital, many visited, but mostly journalists. They came to interview my parents about their failure to save me. Sir, do you have anything to say to your daughter? Lily, your mom and dad let you down. My urn was placed by their hospital bed, they knelt beside it, crying like children. The next day, a photo of the richest man on his knees by his daughter's urn was everywhere online. During all this, the housekeeper, Lucy, often came to take care of my parents. They'd always ask Lucy about the past 10 years of my life. It was only after I was gone that they realized they hardly remembered anything from those years. Lily was having such a hard time, sir. You always said to be strict with her so she'd succeed, but I saw her getting sicker. You never seemed to notice, and I couldn't say much. I was worried about Nancy, concerned for her safety since she wasn't familiar with the place, so I followed her. Then I saw... Saw what? Speak up. My dad shouted in panic. I was scared Nancy would be in danger, so I recorded it. Young Nancy was facing a ragged-looking old couple who clung tightly to her. Don't worry, Mom and Dad, once I take Lily's place in this family, I'll take everything they have. We'll make sure they can't live well, and then we'll live happily together. You must wait for me. After the video ended, the room was silent as the grave. A few minutes later, my father let out a gut-wrenching cry. Lily, I'm so sorry. I trusted the wrong person and sent you to your grave with my own hands. Lucy, did Lily leave anything behind? Lily left a diary. She told me to give it to you after she was gone. Today is my birthday, and Dad got me a doll. I love her so much. I'm going to keep this doll with me always because it's filled with my parents' love. We have a new sister at home. Dad told me to be nice to her, Mom too. But whenever I'm nice, she just hates me. I don't know why, but I'll keep treating her like a real sister, just like Mom and Dad said. Today, she knocked over Dad's prized artifact and said it was me. Dad hit me until everything hurt. No matter how much I explained, they wouldn't listen. It hurt so much. Every page is filled with deep love for her parents. Reading this, they were overwhelmed with grief. Despite being bullied, she still wanted to listen to them. It's all my fault. I thought bringing Nancy home would give Lily a sense of urgency, push her to succeed. I never imagined it would end up like this. Mom pushed Dad aside. You think you're worthy of talking to our daughter? Ever since you brought Nancy home, claiming it was for our daughter's good, look how you ended up with her. For the family's sake, for our marriage, I tolerated it. But I never thought I'd lose our daughter because of it. I really am a terrible mother. The last page of the diary is barely readable. I wrote it during one of my rare moments of consciousness while in a coma. I still haven't bought an outfit. I wanted $100 to buy clothes and properly say
Goodbye.
to the world, but that seems impossible now. I used to hate Mom and Dad so much for ignoring me. But as I'm nearing the end, all I can think of are those childhood memories. I was so happy when they took me kite flying. If only I could go back to that carefree time. Dad kept seeing in his mind the image of me wrapped in a shroud. His daughter never got that $100 for a decent outfit. Within a year, my parents' health completely failed. They sat by my grave every day, crying. Lily, we really regret it. Please come back, okay? Mom will buy you lots of pretty clothes, as many as you want. But it was too late. In the empty graveyard, only their heartbreaking cries could be heard. They were no longer the energetic people they once were. They donated everything they owned. Every day, they'd visit me with my doll. Every time I was blamed or wronged. I never really hated my parents. But they'll never know that. Another cold winter came around. And they were found dead by my grave, holding tightly onto my doll.